Welcome. So great to be together at High Five Live.
Thank you for joining us and
We
our
love it.
guest. We are so delighted to have Alice Childs with us today. And as you get
The
on,
Alice Childs,
yes,
the
exactly.
famous Roots Tech presenter, Alice Childs. The amazing. Anyway,
We'll learn more about her and her passion for family history and temple work and gathering and solidifying family relationships through learning about our those that have gone on before. So many fun things. She is an accredited genealogist, and she lives in Highland, Utah, and so she's kind of our neighbor. And she's been married for 32 years to Barry, and they have 5 children, 4 living, and 2 grandchildren. So she's in that club now, and it's the best.
Yes, it is. And I think she is an absolute kindred spirit with my darling wife. These two are family history enthusiasticals, but they also are very busy gathering on this side of the veil and blessing people too, including her humanitarian work and all that she's doing. So
yes, Alice, we are born under the same star for sure.
That's absolutely true. So as you watch today, please let us know where you're viewing from. And if you have any comments, we will be glad to answer them when we're done.
That's right. So as we get going, so Alice, sometimes and oft times we know that people, when they hear the words family history, kind of run the other way, or they get worried, or they don't know what they're doing.
Or they just bored.
So tell us a little bit about how you got interested in family history. I know you were born interested in it, but just tell us a little bit about that and help us know how fun and wonderful. Help our listeners know. We know. Help our listeners and viewers know why it is just so wonderful, and just go there. Okay.
All right. I do love family history. And I think, I grew up hearing stories about some of my ancestors. There were some of our, more well-known, I guess, ancestors that we would hear stories about. But I think my real interest started when I started studying my ancestors' lives a little bit. I had a friend who was making this amazing family history book of her family. She was putting in pictures and stories. And I thought, ooh, I want something like that, and so I started working on that. And then for a Relief Society activity one time, they wanted us to make they did an activity where we just made a little book. And I did a book about all the women named Alice. So I thought I was named after my great grandma, which I am, but I discovered there were 3 Alices in my family history, and just studying them gave me such a great insight into these women and their examples and influence and character traits, that I had inherited from them. And so that kind of got me started on being interested in my ancestors. But I think the thing that hooked me on family history research was my husband's grandma, Grandma Lois. She's amazing. She was the first member in her family on her dad's side. And she spent her whole life trying to find her ancestors, but she wrote letters back and forth to Pennsylvania. They were Pennsylvania Germans. And she was in Utah. Her dad had come to Utah and met her mom and stayed here. And she really didn't ever have any interaction with them. But she had one, Hannah Fisher. She could not get beyond Hannah Fisher. And she kept asking people, please help me find Hannah Fisher. And so my husband and I decided we wanted to help her with that. And I love a good mystery. So
Here we go.
I just got hooked on the solving a mystery aspect of family history. And that's what really got me started in family history research, was seeing that there are records available that you can find answers to those questions that you don't know the answers to. So.
And isn't it so exciting when you find one?
Yes, it is exciting, and you really do get hooked. So.
Yeah.
Oh, you do.
Our little grandson came in the other day and said, Grandpa, I love mysteries. I thought, yeah, you're going to love family history.
Yep, it's true.
And when we can teach those little ones when they're young that they belong to a beautiful legacy of people that still care about them and want to be with them and help them. And, there are reasons. Talk to us a little bit about President Nelson's call to action.
Okay, he has taught. One of the first addresses he gave when he first became the prophet was to the youth. And he said that gathering Israel is the biggest cause and the best cause that you can be involved in. And, I think that it is a great work. We are providing something for our ancestors that they cannot do for themselves. And I just think about, last year or a couple of years ago when we were studying in the DNC with Come Follow Me, I loved some of the statements that were included from, that are in the DNC from President or Joseph Smith. He talks about how amazing it is. He said, let your hearts rejoice and be exceedingly glad. We are giving them the ordinance of salvation, and these ordinances are necessary for all of God's children. So this is an amazing work. And I think sometimes it kind of becomes in our minds kind of just a formality. Oh, we just need to give them this. But what we don't realize is we are giving them all the blessings that we receive as we make those covenants. When we get baptized, we come into the fold and we make covenants to help bear one another's burdens and keep his commandments and bear his name. Well, that's what our ancestors on the other side are still doing. They have a great work to do there too. And when we bring them into the fold and help them make those covenants, they are able to do that work better. And all the covenants and the blessings that we receive when we go to the temple, we receive greater knowledge, power to do what God wants us to do, and divine guidance, increased hope and comfort, and promised blessings for now and for eternity. And so those are blessings that we are getting from our own temple covenants that we are also giving to our ancestors. So it's real. It's not just a formality. It's real blessings that we are providing for those people that they cannot access in any other way.
Oh, so
and
true.
when we look at them not as a name, but find them to be a real person, really think about how blessed. It's just such a personal, beautiful, inspiring work.
Absolutely. Our granddaughter, just left for her mission to Argentina, and she was blessed to know who would be helping her from the other side. And you just got this feeling like not only are they helping her, but they are there to lead her to their descendants that need the gospel so much. And it is a work that is just inseparable on both sides of the veil.
I think that is so true. I just loved Elder Stevenson spoke at Roots Tech a couple of years ago with his wife, and this statement just stands out in my mind. He said, "Please remember that you are never and you will never be alone." And he just talked about how our ministering angels know who we are, and they care about us, and they love us, and they will become a vital part of our protection in our homes and in all we do. So I just think that is so true. And I just don't think we realize how much they are there with us.
That is so true. Another grandchild of ours just received his patriarchal blessing, and he was told that there are countless, just so many on the other side, just waiting for us to do the work. And, sometimes we feel like that word work is kind of deceptive, right? Because temple and family history is joyous. It is so fun. And you know, in your blogs, we've got, tell us where to find you. Tell them
these new tools we have to do it. It's so different than it's ever been before.
Yes, that is so true. So I have a website, alicechilds.com, and I write there about inspiration for family history for all ages and stages is kind of what I do. So whether you are into more discovery, learning about your ancestors, or whether you want to learn a little bit more about how to do family history research, I have resources for you there. I have a link there to a blog that I have for temple and family history consultants that I created when I served for many years as a family history consultant. And so I have a lot of resources there as well to help people. And it's for everyone. There are resources there that will help everyone, whoever wants to be involved in the work.
Absolutely. And we appreciate the fact that you have referred to the Family History Guide. Scott and I both volunteer for that free site. And it is amazing because it leads you to Family Search and My Heritage and Ancestry and Find My Past, and teaches you step by step how to do family history, how to find your ancestors. And not only that, what fun activities and things that you can do to connect with those that have gone on before.
Yeah.
And I know one of your Roots Tech classes, and just incidentally, Roots Tech is the biggest family history conference in the world. It happens every year, and you can go there anytime and you can see all Alice's classes and some of our classes, and just learn and gain and be inspired. So rootstech.org. and you can just go there anytime.
So the old idea that says, I just don't know what to do. No,
You
it can't be
can
said
do help.
anymore because there's so many beautiful resources to help. And we don't have to drive down to an old family history center and get out microfiche.
That's right.
It's not like that at all. We get so many helps and so many directions. So if somebody's starting out brand new, any suggestions for them?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is just you're going to be able to launch off in any direction you want if you have a family search account. I think make sure you have your family search account and that you are connected to your deceased ancestors on your tree. And that will give you the ability to start researching if you want. But Family Search has so many discovery activities, and they all depend on your tree. They look at your tree and give you all kinds of different things for your ancestors. You can get emails about their birthdays. You can learn more about, around all the different holidays. It'll send you things about different ancestors, military ancestors, or, at Mother's Day. Yeah, right. Pioneers. So that's the first thing I would do. And if you feel like you don't know how to navigate Family Search, the Family History Guide is a great resource. Just walk through their lessons on Family Search, and that will help you.
That's right. And it's free. Totally free.
It is totally free.
Family History Guide in your browser and it'll pop up.
Yeah, it is great. But once you get to that point, I think what you need to do, people feel a lot of guilt. I have discovered this in my time as a family history consultant, or even as a genealogist. People say, oh, I should be doing my family history. Even people who go to the temple every week and take a family name every time from someone else who's done research.
And they're still like,
yes, if they aren't doing research, they are feeling guilty. But I like to tell people, let go of the guilt. You are doing family history.
Every day.
Temple attendance is family history. But think about some of these ideas. If you've ever gone to a family reunion, or if you've ever made a recipe from your grandma and told your kids, this is my grandma's recipe, or if you write in a journal, or if you've ever created a scrapbook or a photo album, or if you've ever told stories about your childhood to your kids. I know my kids used to say, tell me a story about when you were 4, or tell me a story about when you were 10. It's like, oh, I got to really think. But, anything like that, or sharing your values and your beliefs with your children, or creating traditions. There is so much more to doing family history and creating family history than just research. People think if I'm not sitting at the computer getting a headache because I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm not participating. But you are participating every day. And I just tell people, learn about the blessings. And then as you're doing these things that are either learning about your family history or creating your own family history, do them with intention, with the intent that you are going to gain blessings from doing so.
That's so true. And even taking pictures. Talk about my wife's trillions of pictures she's taken. Because, and you can post those and put memories in. Oh, it's just, there's so many wonderful things to do that are not laborious. They are really joyous. So
yes,
absolutely right. And I like to refer people to Elder Renlund's Family History and Temple Work, Sealing and Healing, where those blessings, many of those blessings are listed. And, when we go to those and just say, I want those for my family, I want those for myself, I want to be wrapped in those promises. And, we've talked a little bit about this, but what suggestions do you have for those that work with the youth, both in their families and in the church? How do we grab them and pull them in and help them realize these blessings in their lives?
I think that the biggest thing you can do is to not make them sit down through a class where they have to listen to someone telling them step by step how to research. I think they can figure it out. What we need to do is get their spirits fired up. And I don't know, I created a class, and it's on my Roots Tech videos, called Mission Possible, and we just repeated it. We did it in our ward, I don't know, a year and a half ago. We just repeated it last week, and one of the kids said, can we do this every year? This is the best activity. And it's all designed around things you can do on your phone, and it's Mission Impossible. We have the music and the lights go out, and the guy comes out and tells them what their mission is. And then there are 5 missions, and they can choose what to do. And they, from ordinances ready to learning your famous relatives, to learning how to attach a record hint. And it's self-guided. They just go through the missions. I think anything we can do to show them how to use their phones, how to connect. They love kids.
Absolutely.
Kids love knowing the famous people. I've taught deacons before family history, and all they want to do is scroll back as far as they can and see if they can see if they're related to a king, you know? So I think find what inspires them, teach them things that are relevant to them. Here's an ancestor who played this sport, or I know my nephew was in marching band, and we have a picture of my dad in his marching band uniform. And, you know, that's a really neat connection. So just teach them how to connect. And then the spirit of Elijah will start to work on them, and they will see things
They
that can be
will.
done.
Such a
You know?
perfect suggestion.
Absolutely, yes. And let me just mention here too that in the family history guide, if you go to activities and family, the menu item number 9 has probably 100 5-minute activities that you can do. And the youth love these because the links are right there and they don't have to look for them. They don't have to wonder where they are. They can just go and do the family search activities and do the activities on the family history guide. And then just any day, anytime, just do those.
Yeah.
We also have on that list at the bottom, there are activities like you were saying that you can do in a ward or a stake. And we have videos of our ward doing some fun things like you just mentioned.
Love Mission Possible.
Cracking the case
So
and
fun.
and let them learn to teach their families how to do things,
Yeah.
So I love those ideas. So one more question for you. If you were to meet somebody from the other side, an ancestor, and that would be like the first person you're going to run to when you get there, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Oh my goodness. That is the hardest question because I want
It
to meet
is.
all of them.
I know.
I will just tell a little story that talks a little bit about the blessings of family history and why I would want to meet this person. So I have one son who died of leukemia when he was about 19 months old. And this was before the time of Family Search, Memories, and all those things. But my parents had given me some family history books, and they were literally just family group sheets. And I was sitting there one day shortly after my son passed away, and I was obviously grieving. And these red binders were there, and I thought, maybe I could work on family history. And I had no idea. It was just a prompting to open that book. But I was paging through, and here's this family group sheet for my great-great-grandmother and her husband, and she had these 4 kids, and by each one of their names it said died on the plains, died on the plains, died on the plains, died on the plains. And I didn't know how they had died or what the story was at that time. Now I know a lot more about it, but they all died of measles. A measles outbreak came into their camp and they all died. And she made the trek across the plains with her husband and came to Utah and started a new life and had more children. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But in that moment, I felt her reaching out to me and just saying, you can do this. You can go on. And so I just would love to be able to give her a big hug and thank her for just being with me, for loving me enough to be with me in that moment when I just really needed someone to tell me that I was going to be able to go on. So anyway, that's really personal.
No, I absolutely love that. And, we have ancestors like that too. I just want to go kiss their feet. So thank you so much. We wouldn't be here without them, and we wouldn't have this legacy of faith that we can rely on like you did and do. So thank you for sharing that story. It was
So
beautiful. Oh my goodness. Yes. The angels are so close to us, aren't they?
They really are. I have a strong testimony of that.
And you kind of think of the fact that grandmother probably had her arms around your son.
Yes. Yes.
So not only encouraging you to go on, but encouraging you to know that he could go on too.
Yes. It was a gift. It was really a gift. And I think I was just prompted. Why would I have opened the family history binders? I think I was prompted to just open that book and flip to that. I mean, this book is it's huge, that I found that on that particular day it's no coincidence.
No coincidence at all. So let's talk for just a minute before we close about some recent studies that have been done in the last years and more recently with BYU, specifically about the benefits of family history for our youth and young adults.
I quote, there's one that is an ongoing study that started, I think, in 2016 with the Family Narratives Lab. And so a couple of professors did a study on the benefits of knowing your family stories. And they have found that youth and children who know their family stories are more resilient. They have greater self-esteem. I think in our world, that is so important.
Essential.
There is a real epidemic of anxiety and, just people feeling lost and not knowing who they are. So I love that study and the motivation it gives us to help our kids understand who they are through telling them family stories and knowing that our ancestors and our family has gone through hard things, but we've bounced back, So that is a great one. There's a recent one from BYU. They studied young adults, and the findings from that were a greater sense of identity coming from knowing about your family history. And I think that is another, President Nelson talked about identity in an address to the young adults. And I think knowing our family history is a key to helping us know who we are and where we came from. And that study did show that provides a greater sense of identity, which I think these are gifts that we need to focus on. Be very diligent about helping our youth know who they are through family stories. So
absolutely. One of our Roots Tech classes this last year, or this year, 2023, was it was called "Why We Need Our Family Story Now More Than Ever," and we just had some of our grandchildren and my mom's grandchildren and great-grandchildren interview her and talk to her about what her family stories and her family narrative has done for them in their personal lives. One of our daughters, she talked about how her great-grandfather, my mother's father, biological father, who left the family when she was just tiny, and never came back for like 60 years or more. But when he came back,
and caused so much pain, so much trouble for mom, right?
All the way along. And
then he shows up.
And my mother had this opportunity to forgive face to face. And our granddaughter just talks about in this video that we created how that has influenced her in her decisions to forgive.
And she just brought him in, and he became grandpa, and all the kids knew him.
And he went to the temple and got married in the temple, and so he had done his repentance, but still this trail of tears, that he had left, and she had to find that. But when our granddaughter was talking about that, she just said how grateful she is that this story is out in the open, and that my mom was able to share that and teach her posterity about repentance and forgiveness through family stories. And a lot of the kids just, it was just fun to interview her because they've learned about love. They've learned about real life. When my mom stole a car when she and just things like that, and how she, they had to make a go of it with no money at the beginning, and our young marrieds, our young married grandchildren just go on that faith that they can do it too.
And not just the hard things, but the fun little stories about that, just knowing them personally. I think the more we know them too, the more we can feel them from the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah, it kind of opens that door, to, okay, I know who's helping me and I need them. And yes, absolutely.
So when we talk about angels, we, without doubt, Joseph Smith said, the angels that bless us in our lives are most often those wonderful loved ones who have gone on. Even when we talk about angels being with us at covenant moments in the temple, who would they be but those that love us so much? And we are really bound to them. And I have deep feelings that they want to be influential in our lives if we will allow that to happen. And through your wonderful work, we're having that happen more and more. And so
thank you for all you do, Alice. You are a treasure. And
thank you.
And like I said, we are both so passionate about this. My husband, he's like, "You gonna do something else?"
No,
he's very supportive. But we love it, and we know those benefits, and we are so grateful for those promised blessings. And seriously, everyone who watches this, please go to Roots Tech and look at those classes. Go to the Family History Guide and Family Search and discover, and then do things to gather and connect. And like Alice said, it's not just about research. It's about connecting. It's about feeling close.
So look up Alice's wonderful work that
Blogs
she's
and-
done, her blogs, and it'll help you just move forward in an exciting way, and especially for our youth too.
That's right. Oh, Alice, thank you. Thank you a million for being with us
Thank
today.
you so much for inviting me. It's been good to be here.
And a joy.
Have a great day, everyone.
Share this, everyone.